Game. All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome back to day one, mindset and fundamentals. We're doing a recap of the top takeaways from today. And if you guys can see us, because we are live, can you please type in your name and where you're calling from? And I'm super excited. We have Emma Shermer Tamir with us here today. We have Danny McMillan. We have Tim Jordan, and we have Liron Hirschkorn. These are all speakers from day one. Now's your chance to get your questions answered. All right. So welcome, guys. How's everybody doing?
All good. Thank you.
Great.
Excellent. Excellent. So as you guys are coming in today, we talked a lot about the mindset and the fundamentals. And just to start out, I'm curious, why do you guys think mindset is important? What's so important about mindset if you're an e-commerce seller? What do you guys think?
Well, there's no such thing. I feel like we were all waiting for this one second.
Yeah.
There was a big gap, and then we all spoke at the same time.
Yeah. Tim.
I'll start with a short comment. I think that what we do is not easy, right? And there's so many people that claim that this is, a get-rich-quick scheme, that entrepreneurship is simple, and it's definitely worth it, but it's not easy. And if we're not prepared, like if we aren't sharpening our sword, so to speak, if we're not preparing ourselves for the tough times mentally, then we're not going to be able to take, our failures, the speed bumps, the difficulties, and turn them into lessons and wisdom and experience. So we have to mentally prepare ourselves to be able to successfully pull this off.
Definitely. Yeah. Sharpening our swords, sharpening our axes. I think Abe Lincoln said that, right? Like someone asked him if you had 6 hours to chop down a tree, how would you do it? And he said he would sharpen his axe for 4 hours, so that it could go a lot smoother. Yeah. So what else? Leroy, what do you think?
I agree with Tim. This is not easy, and I also have the belief that your success is 80% your psychology and 20% your skill set. That success in this and anything in life is, life is I heard somebody say, life is the C between the B and the D, right? It's the choices between birth and death. And in order to make those good choices, good decisions, you need to have the right mindset, right? Especially dealing with Amazon, especially dealing in e-commerce. I talk to sellers every day who are, I have a good friend over the weekend. Amazon suppressed all his listing because of something in the bullet points that they didn't tell you exactly what it is, but you have to go figure out what it is. And you can either, put your head in the sand and run, and or you could say, I'm going to go fight it, figure out what it is, and fix it. And know that, I have having the mindset that everything is figure outable, I think is really important, because you're gonna bash your head in the wall with so many things, especially with Amazon, that if you don't have that attitude, then the first time you fall, you're not going to get back up. And I think it's about the mentality that no matter how many times I fall, I'm going to get back up. And the bigger the challenge, the bigger the opportunity. That's the kind of, I think I heard somebody else say today that the more challenges in your life, the more potential you have, right? If you go into Amazon or business or anything with that mindset, then you're setting yourself up to succeed. But if you go in with hey, this isn't for me because I went on Amazon and they need to verify me and I got suspended and whatever. If you let the excuses kind of win, then you've lost the battle.
I think COVID is a perfect example as well. Sorry, you go first, Emma, and then
Emma.
Well, I was just going to say, have all of you seen that graph, the day in the life of an entrepreneur? And it's it's like a million ups and a million downs just within the span of 24 hours. So I feel like so much is just that mental training of when you're having your highest high, probably the next time you check your email, you're going to have something in there that makes your heart drop and vice versa. And it's so much of, being grateful when things are going really well, but also not allowing that to get in the way of still making sure that you're on top of everything so that when things don't go well, you're prepared. And then when things don't go well, but you don't just kind of sink into your hole, which is very tempting to do, but instead think about how you can actually take action to begin to dig yourself out of whatever it is that you're facing.
I think, like you said, still being grateful when things aren't going well, right?
That too, yeah.
It's easy to be grateful when things are going well. The challenge is being grateful when things are not going well and realizing that you still have a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah.
That's definitely something I need to work on.
Yeah, but that's stuff you'll work on over time. I think, look, if we look at something like COVID, most of us on this call have been around the block, right? But I've seen firsthand what COVID's done, not in just the health sense, but people's reactions to COVID. Like, unless you've been through a shit ton of failures, like I have, I'm sure Leran's had a load. I know Tim's had. I'm not sure about Emma's story in that sense, but I'm sure there are failures in there somewhere. Again, it comes down to mindset. You're going to go on the offense or you're going to go on defense? Again, that comes down to mindset. Doesn't matter if you're going to go on defense if you're protecting the crown jewels. But a mindset of going on the offense as well is if you've been around the block and you've been through tough times, you've been through recessions, that gives you the opportunity where you've upgraded your mindset to add the balls and the tenacity to go on offense. So I think mindset is something you develop over time. Sometimes we talked about being entrepreneurs. This can crush you if you have the wrong mindset.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And
it can crush you if you have the right mindset. So imagine what.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. It can. Yeah. Overconfidence and things like that, making the wrong moves, it can be deadly in the sense that you make one massive decision and you put all in the red and you screw up. You've got to come back from zero. I've been back to zero and come back again. It's a long road. I'll get there quicker next time if I was to go to zero, but I don't advise anyone. You want to take calculated risks, but ultimately, I think one other word that summarizes it, and Leanne's got this in abundance, is persistence. Consistent persistence. And him, in terms of consistency, he's one of the most consistent people I know. He's always on Facebook, always training. Don't matter what day it is, don't matter how bad COVID is, don't matter if he's locked in his house. The exercise becomes that consistency for him. I suppose for me, it's my lives. Like with Tim, he's managing and juggling a ton of projects as well. But consistency, persistence, and they are there. Goes back to sharpening those tools as well.
Yeah, 100%. And then before we move on, I just want to give some quick shout outs to people watching today. We have Wilma from New Jersey. Welcome. Karen from Apollo Beach, Florida. DM from Arkansas. TNT from Derek from Calgary, Canada. Karen, I think Mindset's critical. Sean, South Florida. What's up, Sean? And Brownwind from Australia. Mindset is a crucial factor in success in any area of life. So I agree 100%. I think that, one other thing that I really love about Leron's session today is like he had the concept of like no 0 days, right? I mean, like every day you got to put up like 1 point on the board, right? You can't just like be in bed and kick back. And, after a while, you kind of had that chain of success. I think it was Jerry Seinfeld, before he made it big, he was a stand-up comedian. He was like hitting the clubs in New York. And then every day he forced himself to write a joke. And then every day he did that on the calendar, he would just put like an X, right? So after a while, he had that chain and he didn't want to break that chain. So, you got to find some way, mindset hack to keep you going. I think the same thing applies if you're an e-commerce entrepreneur as well.
Gary, Jerry Seinfeld to this day still writes jokes every single day. He still writes every single day. And he's so successful, and I think it also goes to the part of like doing what you love. It doesn't really feel like work. I'm sure it's something he enjoys. He's obviously very successful. He doesn't need to work, and focusing on the things that you like to do, I think are critical. In your business, focusing on the things you like to do and outsourcing the stuff you don't love to do. I think is also critical to be able to keep going.
Yeah, 100%. And then Bruna, thank you for your comment. She said, thank you, Leron, for reminding us to praise our efforts, not just the results. Focusing on the things we can control helps a lot to cope with the anxiety that comes with the process. Thank you for that. And then for you guys watching, now's your chance. Ask questions. You saw everybody here. You saw Emma, Danny, Tim, Liron. Here's your golden chance. I know some people got to run early, like Tim. He has soccer practice. Tim is sitting in the car right now just to spend some time with you guys. He's away from his kids' soccer practice. And Danny came up at 12 midnight in UK. I mean, thank you for being a team player, Danny. Liron, I know you got dinner with your family soon. Emma, I'm sure you're busy as well. So I just greatly appreciate everybody's time today. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead and ask them.
Gary Wong, congratulations. I saw you were in Forbes today with the
Thank you.
Summit.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm just trying to help as many entrepreneurs as I can all over the world. This week is World Entrepreneurs Day on Friday, the 21st of August. So that's why I timed it to, occur this week and try to help all these entrepreneurs. And I'm grateful for all you guys. I mean, Danny's in the UK and, everyone else is in America. We have speakers from like all over the world. So, I think it's just, we're doing our best to help as many people as we can. One quick question I got for Tim. Okay. I know that, I love in your session, the 5 things that you learned on your way to 7 figures. And I know some people in the audience watching today, maybe they don't get a lot of support from their friends and family, doing this thing. Like they don't understand what you're doing. They think it's like, is it a scam? Is it all going to go away? I think that you personally, you share a little bit about that as well. What advice would you give someone watching today if they're not getting a lot of support, doing this thing? I'm just curious what you think about that, Tim.
You don't need it, right? Like you don't need specific support from the people that you might think you do. All right. My wife, honestly, has never watched a single podcast episode that I've been a guest on or recorded, probably 100. Like if I said FBA, she wouldn't have a clue what that, and that's fine. Like I had to come to the realization that she supports what I do, but that doesn't mean she has to be involved in it. And, your direct household is one thing, but even, extending, like I've talked about my father-in-law, like my father died in prison 2 years ago. Like he and I did not have a good relationship. Right. So my father-in-law is the closest thing to me. And he literally told me like, you'll never make it as an entrepreneur. You're not smart enough. And that was a big blow. So I literally had to realize that life is too short to put the same value on every relationship. Right. So if I have value on a relationship of a family member, of a parent, of a something, use that for the value that it's supposed to be there for. But I don't need my father-in-law to tell me that I'm going to be a good business owner because I've got Gary and I've got Danny and I've got Emma and I've got Liron. Right. Like what's really cool about this world is I suspect I could pick up the phone and call 100 different people right now. They'd answer. And if I said, man, I'm having a tough day, or man, I'm excited about something, or man, I'm fresh about something, they would have a conversation with me. They'd support me. They'd give me advice. It was a few weeks ago. I got on the phone with Emma. Emma, what was this going to be, like a 20-minute conversation that we were supposed to have? Remember when I was in the parking lot going to get my milkshake at Hardee's?
Yeah.
Me and Emma talked for like 2 hours, right? Like 3 hours. And we were just supporting each other, just griping, just like talking about the good things. And I think what I've come to realize is you don't have to be, on the 7-figure seller summit as a speaker. Like that's not how any of us started. There are Facebook groups, there's communities, there's workshops, there's like attendees to other events that are all in the same boat as you. So you don't need permission from the people that may be important in some segments of your life. There's a million people that you don't even know yet that want to support you now. So that'd be the advice I'd have is like, let go of what you think you're supposed to be hearing from certain people and go find the people that want to help you, that want to support you, that you can have those conversations with, and just compartmentalize it.
I just to bounce off the back of what Tim's saying there, my wife isn't involved in the business either. I've been with her for 25 years. And I think if it's your wife rather than, your parents, whatever, they don't always have to be included in the journey itself in terms of day-to-day work, but there still needs to be a connection there. And I think what happens is we sit down, and sometimes as we grow as a family, the businesses grow, I have to get their mindset in line with what we're doing. And doing that is by showing. explaining everything. This is what we're doing. You know, you moved house. They can see things. You can go on better holidays. They get to see those things. And sometimes you can have these conversations and they're not necessarily on par with yours, because you're over here as you've made these steps from a smaller company to a bigger company. Your partner hasn't necessarily come with you on that same journey because they're on their own journey in their work life. But being able to show that to them and explain that to them, I think has been very healthy to maintain our relationship over a long time. That's not how everyone has to do it, but it was one way for me to explain things to my wife. Like, you know, when you run ideas past someone and they look like to you if you're crazy, but if I said that to Liran or I said that to Timbo Slice here, they go, yeah, go for it. But why don't you put rocket fuel behind it as well? Because they get it, right? But it doesn't mean your family will. And the other thing you have to do with family when you don't have the results, and I mean the family around you, you have to tune them out, because ultimately when it comes down to being an entrepreneur, it's on your shoulders with your team, your staff, your finances. The buck stops with you. The good days, you praise the team. The bad days, you eat the crap, basically. So ultimately, you've got to callous over your mind, and you've got to realize that you may not get the support now and that you're in isolation, but what's the word for it? You need to have confidence in yourself that you'll get there one day, and then you can show them the results. 9 times out of 10, when you show someone the possibilities and you show them the results, then they accept it, because seeing is believing.
Yeah, there's a saying, like, I don't remember exactly what it is. I'm sure LaRon remembers it, but it's something to the effect of, like, your haters are going to criticize you now and then learn from you later, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty big, like, popular meme out there. And yeah, and like, even going back to my spouse, I'll say that I'm not just beating up on my wife for not being involved, but it's interesting. She does not want to have a conversation with me about e-commerce and what I do. Yeah. But now after several years, if I tell her, hey, I want to start a new business or something, she's like, okay, cool. Like, so she trusts me without having to understand it. But I used to get mad. Like, I used to want to, at the end of my day, just like dump all this stuff on her and, you know, explain to her what I'm excited about. She just didn't care. So I really, like, Gary, the original question, just had to realize that, like, not everybody cares as much as I do. And also, nobody needs to care as much as I do. And I don't need to care too much about what other people think, because it's not their life, it's mine.
Yeah.
One thing, Danny, that you said, you know, I think for other people, you said seeing is believing.
Yeah.
I think for yourself, believing is seeing. Yeah. Right. You're not going to see that future for yourself that you're trying to create with your business or your life until you can see it first, right? And you have the vision for it first. You know, I think other people in your life might need to see it before they believe it, but I think you better believe it first, or else you're probably never going to see it through. And if you're coming into anything with that sort of philosophy of kind of envisioning what you want and what you're trying to create and where you're trying to go, I think you have a more likelihood to actually succeed, you know, towards it.
Yeah. I think if the other problem, back in what you're saying, Liran, exactly, vision's everything. We've actually done a show on it where we sit down, we try and crystallize every stage of everything we're trying to do. Like, I use an example, you launch a new product as an example on Amazon. I would do it on events and stuff, but you might say you will look and see the search results pages, you'll see the image, you'll see the price, and you visualize all that stuff, and then you work backwards and then you gun it and go for it. But I think what makes it tough as well, you know, like when you've had that, I've had a string of failures behind me, and I've seen other people do it as well. Oh yeah, they're launching another business. You know, I'm sure this one's going to be a failure. But it's when it hits is when the seeing is believing. And that's where the callousing over of your mind, to know that you might have had three or four on the way didn't work out, and then one breaks out the park, then they see it. The whole attitude in the family and everyone around you will change as well.
But I think what's also disorienting is, you know, whether you're having the success or the failure, you're on this journey yourself, and everybody around you, it looks like you're sitting still and you're not making any progress one direction or the other, but you're having all these experiences and all this growth and all these learning opportunities. And so it's also about knowing where to not just tune it out, but even set boundaries and figure out what you need in order to help you along that journey. So when I started my business with my husband, who I have a very different experience to both you and Tim, Danny, and Tim and Danny. I don't know, Liran, how involved your wife is with your business or not, but we like live and breathe our business together. And so I realized that I needed to find people outside of my partnership to be able to talk about certain things that were just too close to the core for both of us. And I didn't really have a lot of entrepreneurial friends. And so I really had to put myself out there so that I could have those people that, it doesn't necessarily even seem like a relaxing way to share a drink on the weekend, but you just kind of need to talk through all of those things that a lot of people just don't get if they've never been in business before.
Yeah, 100%. And, I kind of echo off what all you guys are saying, because if I look at my high school friends and, my friends in LA that I grew up with, like they have no idea, like, what is this whole like Amazon e-commerce thing? And I'm posting stuff in my Facebook and like, I'm pretty sure like, they're like, what is he doing? Is this like a scam? Or, I mean, it's just, but I'm just grateful for the fact that, we can connect with like-minded people all over the world now, given the fact that even though we're going through a pandemic, at the same time, we can do things like this. We have like a mastermind with like 40 other people watching all over the world, and you can pick like these, successful experts and like, kind of like, resonate with that energy. I mean, this is like why I'm doing this, because all we see on the news every day is just negativity and, like all that stuff. And I'm trying to like, at least, I know some of the people that are really doing well and it's possible. And a lot of people are kind of like stuck. They want to break to 7 figures. So I hope that this is helpful for everybody, just in terms of, at least, getting some of that positivity from you guys. So I'm just, super thankful for that. And for those of you guys watching, I know like sometimes you're isolated. One of the things I find effective is if you can invite a friend, if you can think of someone that's like in e-commerce or they're thinking about it, maybe you can invite them to check out the summit to watch with you. So, they can sign up for a free pass today. Everything's still available. And maybe they can even jump on the live trainings that we're doing right now. And, you can compare notes and accountability. I think that's one of the keys for success. And, when I'm going through the low points of that, roller coaster, like what Emma was talking about, just a couple weeks ago, and then like Tim reached out to me, like he asked me about something, and that kind of like, just bounced me back up, because I was like really low, and he messaged me, and I'm like, and then it kind of like just like, broke that, that low point for me. So I think the same thing for you guys. Everyone's going to go through the highs and lows, and, whether it's a friend or, maybe like a mastermind group or something else, I think there's always a way that, you can bounce back up. So just wanted to share that.
I think, Gary, a good thing to remember is that no matter what, everything is temporary. Success, failure, everything is like building a sandcastle, right? One day Amazon won't exist, right? One day Amazon will be out of business. Somebody else will come in. You couldn't imagine Amazon 50 years ago. You can't imagine the next thing now. But someday Amazon won't exist. Someday your problem you're facing won't exist, right? Someday none of us will be here or exist. And I think sometimes putting that perspective in front of you, that like the concept of like this too shall pass, whatever issue or thing you're facing today will go away, right? I think it's up to us to also be proactive and kind of deal with it head on and not put our head in the sandcastle. But at the same time, I think the perspective that, whatever you're dealing with, whatever challenge you're dealing with is, for the most part, temporary, including us.
100%. Excellent. And then just some comments. Sean said, great advice. Kara Brown, music to my ears. Everybody's smiling at me, but pretty sure they think I am crazy. Thank God for the precious few who see the real possibility. And Derek says, quite right about persistence is really needed. We're just about launching our first product. We're almost ready around Chinese New Year and COVID, and our Chinese factories closed down. Just keep going. Right now, like e-commerce is exploding. I think everybody has seen the news, right? So, always moving forward, That's awesome. And then Sean says, truth is, even with the 9 to 5, you go through ups and downs. So why not go through them on your own terms, at least, right? I love that. Thanks for sharing, Sean. Excellent. Okay. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor because they make this possible. I would like to thank Geta, and they're a technology company. They're helping a lot of Amazon sellers get Amazon reimbursement. So I don't know about you guys. Sometimes I lose track of the reimbursements when Amazon overcharges me. So Geta, they offer a tool that automates this for you, so they can keep track of all of your inventory transactions, your refunds, your seller data analytics, inventory reimbursements. They can do it very easily and clearly. Besides Amazon, they can also audit if you're selling on Walmart and Best Buy. And once discrepancies are found, Geta ensures that they can have a financial recovery. They can help open cases for you. I think they have a very high success rate. And they offered a special bonus for everybody watching today. You can get up to $400 in Amazon reimbursements for free, no fees, if you sign up with Geta. It's at www.geta.com, and you can enter the promo code 7FSS400, and I will drop a link in the chat.
You made an easy promo code, I see, Gary.
Yeah, it's easy to remember.
Yeah, very easy. 7FFS400.
Yes, 7FSS. I'll drop a link in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you're being sarcastic there, but we'll drop a link in the chat for that. So, all right, excellent, guys. Emma, I'm curious. We've talked a lot about mindset so far, but we haven't talked much about copywriting. And copywriting, this is like one of the fundamentals of putting together a successful Amazon listing. I'm curious. You work with so many 7-figure and even 8-figure brands selling on Amazon. Maybe you can share like a couple things, what they're doing that a lot of other Amazon sellers may not be doing, just to help everybody watching today.
Hey, can I step in really quick?
Yeah.
Mostly, I just want to leave because I don't want to listen to what Emma has to say.
Typical.
Just kidding. I do got to go pick my kid up. But hey, thank you all for watching on video listening. Thank you, Gary, for putting this on. The rest of you on screen, thanks for all the input. I know a lot of people get to ask me about mindset, but I learn from you guys every day. So thank you all for everything you're doing. Thank you, Gary. And we'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Tim. All right. Have a good day. Okay, Emma, back to you.
Yeah. So, interestingly, I think that there are so many parallels between what we've all been talking about and really great copy, because it all starts before you even sit down to put any words to paper, which is that you really need to get a clear sense of what it is that you're trying to create as a brand and what kind of future you're wanting to work towards. And so if you're just simply looking at a product and saying, how can I make this sound attractive? And then you have the next product and you try to do the same thing over and over again, you may be able to make that product sell well, but you're not building into that bigger equity of a brand that you can then expand and sell into on other channels and all of those various things. So taking a step back and really being clear about what you're trying to build, who you are as a brand, how you want to present yourself, and making sure that there's a cohesion behind everything that you're doing, so that your imagery and your text and your packaging and your products and all of that is aligning to create a full story, rather than just kind of hodgepodging a bunch of tips and tactics and pulling them together to try to create something that will sell. And then you want to do the exact same thing with your customers. So you need to be very, very clear about who it is that you're selling to and what it is that really makes them tick and gets them excited and makes them afraid. And by having a very clear sense of both sides of that, then you're actually able to use your copy to really create a conversation rather than just talking to some blob of an idea of a human being on the other side of the screen.
100%. And yeah, and I think what's very surprising to me, what you shared in your presentation, Emma, besides the tactics, is a lot of times these big brands, they're doing a really poor job on Amazon. I mean, they're just putting up like 1 or 2 pictures. They're not really optimizing their titles. And I think you used like Black Rifle Coffee as a case study, right? I mean, Black Rifle is kind of like a niche brand compared to like a Melita, which is like a global brand, like $1 billion company with like 100 years history. And then if you looked at their Amazon listings, I mean, it was really shocking, right? Like, Emma, maybe you could share a little bit about that, because I think, you know, people watching today, we're like the little guy. We're like, you know, David going up against Goliath, but, you know, we still have a chance on Amazon, right? When it comes to like copywriting and creating a listing.
Definitely. And Melita is not the worst I've seen. On the surface, their listings look pretty decent. You know, they have nicely designed A+ content. Their bullets are coherent and tell you the main details that you would want to hear. But it's all very corporate sounding, and it's all lacking any real conviction or kind of sense of who they are as a brand, or what differentiates them from any other coffee company. And so as a result, their price point is right there around the $8 per bag mark, which is pretty standard for most big brand coffee companies. And most likely people are not purchasing because of the brand itself. Whereas Black Rifle Coffee Company, they're selling for over 2 times the price of Melita, and they have a very clear sense of who their brand is. So they are a veteran-owned company. And rather than using their listing to just talk about the ins and outs of their coffees, they use so much of their A+ content to go into who they are as a business, their mission, their values, their story. They have pictures of their team members, and they're even showing, you know, different merch types of things very subtly in their imagery. So they're cultivating not just this desire for this particular brand of coffee, but wanting to be a part of this bigger thing because it's a brand that is aligning with a certain segment's interests and beliefs and values. And so it's not just, they're just not just going to click add to cart. They're going to wait expectantly for that package, and they're going to want to tell their friends and family members about it. And it's something that they are going to want to continue to purchase from over and over again. And they're creating all of that relationship before you ever even get the coffee home and taste it. You're already sold on it.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. And then that, yeah.
Interestingly, they don't have the perfect listing. But because they're so clear about who they are, they can get away with having wordier bullets than what I would typically recommend sellers have, because there's something more going on there than just trying to convince people that their coffee is the best tasting coffee around.
Emma, while you, not to make this a content masterclass, but somebody asked me yesterday in my group, my thoughts on bullet points and character count. You know, they said, hey, I see this expensive product. They're only using 75 characters. I see a lot of products being 200 to 300 characters. Do you have an opinion on a set standard, or is it just trying to convert and getting your point across?
I do have an opinion. So first of all, you always want to check your category, because some categories do have different character limits. So there are some categories that I think the shortest I've ever seen is 80 or 100 characters per bullet. And so obviously making sure that you're doing whatever Amazon is telling you to do so that you're not going to potentially get your listing suppressed. But we tend to shoot for around 200 characters per bullet. Not really anything more than that. It makes it much more manageable text, whether you're on mobile or on desktop. You're still having enough space to explain things, because 100 characters, it can start to be very difficult to say much substance wise. So that 200 gives you just enough so that you can communicate a full idea, but you're needing to be really thoughtful about every single word that you're using, which is a good thing to do. Like they say that good writing isn't the first draft. Good writing is all about actually the editing. And I think that's something that particularly people that haven't done a lot of their own writing, that's the part that I think gets forgotten. And that if you're really wanting to make your marketing text more compelling, it's those revisions that are going to help you get it to where it's really tight and impactful and powerful and achieving what it is that you're trying to.
It's a good point. I follow Derek Sivers. I don't know if you know who he is, but Derek Sivers says, write the article, then write the tweet based on the article, and then get rid of the article.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah, excellent. All right, great. And if you guys watching today, if you have any questions about copywriting, feel free to drop it in the chat right now. All right, excellent. Danny, I'm curious.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, we talked a little bit about resilience earlier, and I know that you know, it's very, I mean, it's part of your story. What advice would you like to give to, you know, people, because you've done 77 straight lives during COVID. I mean, you've exhibited tremendous resilience, and I also know with your personal setbacks. What advice would you give to people that are kind of like maybe doubting themselves, or, you know, that first product didn't hit? What advice would you give to them?
Well, you know, out of them 77 days, how many times I got to the halfway through the day and thought, shit, I've got to do that live at 4 o'clock. 76 of them, maybe 75 of them, because I open my big mouth. But when I do them, I enjoy them. It's the same with Liran, with the exercise. We enjoy these things, right? We take these on, we want to do them, but we don't always want to be consistent. We know we like doing them, but we don't always want to do them at that set time. So we have to be disciplined, and having that accountability, because I've opened my big mouth by saying we'll do it, is the reason why to do it. And I think why Liran posts as well, what his progress is, because his accountability drops the next day doesn't look great, right? Because it's like you've already opened your big mouth or you've posted. Therefore, you've got to be consistent, because someone will go, "Oi, what happened there? I thought you were going to do X, Y, and Z." And so finding that level of resilience and that consistency is often by finding a way to create a public accountability for yourself.
I think, Danny, that is called playing the role model mindset.
Right. Okay.
And everybody can play the role model mindset. You know, you don't need to have. I don't have millions of followers. I have very little followers, but it doesn't matter. I post on my Instagram stories or whatever when I work out, so it's accountability. And if I don't work out, then I don't get to post about it, right? So I try to play that role because it helps keep me accountable.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with you, Danny. You said you're going live every day. You're already committed, right? So whether you really want to do it or not, you're already committed. You don't want to look bad.
Yeah. Well, because if I give my word, one of my pet hates is if I give my word and don't follow through, which is rare and some cases is unavoidable. That means a lot to me. Does that make sense? So you've got to find that trigger within that means a lot to you. It's like, you could be really tired now. Like, I'm exhausted now, but it's only midnight or 12:30 here. Way ho. Like, I'll sleep a bit more tomorrow, maybe an extra half an hour or so. I still got to go up tomorrow, and I've committed myself to some exercise now. Again, Liran, I'm on and off with the exercise thing, consistent with everything else. But I'll get up and do my sprints in the morning. And I mentioned the book in the interview earlier on, David Goggins, right? Guy's a complete throwback, but he does stuff every day that he hates. And he's always screaming at the top of his voice. He's funny, but you stick one of these YouTube motivation videos 5 minutes on in the morning, it's like, get out of bed. Da-da-da-da. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that Sergeant Major scream at you. Sometimes you need a soft approach. Work out what you need. Like, when you sit there, like, I think he done a Joe Rogan interview, and he said, so when you get up every day, when do you not feel like it? And he's like, every effing day. He said, I stare at my shoes in the morning for like 15 minutes. And it's like, Goggins, get going. You've got to go. Stop being a pussy. Stop doing this. Da-da-da. And he'll tell himself why he's got to go and do that and be consistent. And he gets up and he goes out and do it. You've just got to find that thing that drives you. That thing inside that makes you do that. And it might be a David Goggins, or it could be something else.
And I think understanding that, even finding that a lot of it is just fighting yourself that then wants to get in your own way. Like, it's not that it's, you know, Danny's saying 76 of the 77 days he didn't want to do it. So it's about
I wanted to do it, but I wasn't feeling like doing it. But when I did it, I was fine.
Exactly. So, I didn't mean you didn't want to, but it's just that, you know, so there's a lot of that's always happening, whether we actually truly want to do it or not. And I wish I remembered the exact details I don't retain what I read as well as I would like to, but something about how we see things, like the short-term rewards and the long-term rewards. And it's so often the short-term rewards completely short-circuit things and overpower what we are truly wanting in the long term. And so figuring out how you can trick yourself, or how you can, obligate yourself so that you're not getting in your own way, is just so important.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why most people who want to lose weight fail, right? Because the short-term reward of eating cake overcomes the long-term reward of losing weight or whatever, right? Like, so I think having an awareness of that and understanding that is like the first step in, overcoming the short-term not wanting to do something versus proactive, or taking action, or not eating the cake, or whatever.
There's an interesting question here from Karen. Says, how do you manage the situation when you're driven but your spouse isn't driven at all? This is a tricky one. There's two parts to this, really. Is that a relationship thing? So work out if it's a relationship thing first. And secondly, every partnership should have their own level of independence. And if you are driven and you want to do your thing, then if they love you, they will give you the space to do your thing as well.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think it's okay if you're driven and your spouse isn't driven, as long as you're okay with that in your relationship. Maybe your spouse has a job and they're happy with it, and it's fine. They don't need to be as driven as you are.
Yeah.
It's not a
and maybe they're taking care of the family, or they're, it's not just, work and business, right? We got to have, our family, our own like health, our friends, right? So I think that, there has to be some balance. And going back to what Danny said, there's those days that you don't want to do it. I go through the same thing. I recorded like 36 hours of interviews in the past month or so. And there were days that I didn't want to do it. And then I kind of just, rather than just like trying to drink from that fire hose and trying to like say, I got to do 37 hours or whatever, I just thought, okay, let me just do that one, like just that one thing, maybe it's just that one step. Okay. Rather than thinking, oh, I got this tough day ahead, I have like 7 calls. Okay. Let me just get out of bed and brush my teeth, just that one thing. And then just like those like small, like little incremental advances. After a while, you get momentum, and then you kind of get into flow. And at least for me, I mean, that helps when it comes to like tackling a big problem.
I think it's a lot easier to, like, I don't want to exercise, but let me just get on the bike for 5 minutes, right? And then after 5 minutes, I can do another 10 or 15, right? And it's a lot easier, but it's a lot easier for me to face getting on the bike in the first place if I know, like, hey, it's only 5 minutes. Like, I can always do 5 minutes, and kind of the same thing with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, again, it comes back to doing things that you love. Like, Gary, you do this because you want to help entrepreneurs, right? So even though you got to record 36, you already knew you're going to do 36 at some point, and that was that mountain to climb. But the love for the project meant that you didn't feel like doing it at the time, but your love for the overall project and why you started it, the meaning behind it, gives you that energy. And me and Lee Rand spoke about this, and I spoke to you about this, Gary, I'm sure before. I have 3 principles. Like, I can't get out of bed in the morning for a pound note. I'm the worst entrepreneur when it comes to chasing money, right? But I have 3 principles. It's like, does it make meaning? Does it make meaning? Will I enjoy it? Will I love it? And will I make money eventually at some point? Right. So it has to fall in those 3, because I find it tough at 44 now to do stuff that I don't really want to do. So that narrows down the amount of projects I can do, and set yourself a set of principles. I think Lee Rand's got his own framework for principles as well, right? The reason why you'll do stuff. And so they're my 3 things. And if you've got those principles, does it make meaning? Does it make me happy? Does it make me money? The 3 things I use.
Yeah, that's excellent. And if I can just piggyback off of that, why am I doing this summit? I mean, one of the main reasons I want to help others. But the second reason is kind of a selfish reason, because I want to learn from all of you guys as well. So, I can level up my Amazon business. And the third reason is when I don't talk about that much, but we're supporting a orphanage in rural Cambodia. There's a group of children. We visited them before. They're very smart, but their parents just aren't with them. So that's the third reason we're doing this. So,
excellent, and that's a very
Liran,
good reason to do it.
Yeah, I'm curious. What are your principles? I mean, why are you doing what you're doing?
It's a good question. I mean, I guess my main mission, or what gives me the most joy and fulfillment, is to see like impact in lives of other people. It's the reason why I don't just sit behind a desk and sell products, and why, I like interacting with the seller community and entrepreneurs. And, if I can make an impact on one entrepreneur, that one entrepreneur can make an impact on a million lives, right? So there's a ripple effect. So, when somebody puts a message like you have here on your on the comments here, where somebody's getting value out of something that I'm putting out in the world, that gives me, selfishly, it gives me, it gives me fulfillment. So I do what I do because as an entrepreneur, I get to control my time, and I get to make an impact in the lives of others, and I get to not just make a dollar, but make a difference, and get meaning out of what I'm doing. So for me, that's important. I think kind of why I got involved in working with sellers outside of just like sitting behind a computer and not interacting with anybody else. And when I learn something, the reason why I'm very consistent as far as like posting content. Somebody I had this advisor tell me some months ago, some time back, like, Liran, like, you're giving out like too many $100 bills in your posts. Like, you should give more $10 bills, but don't, like, the really good stuff, like, save it and charge and and like, that's not like how I operate, right? Like, I put out everything because I get it's the benefits that you don't count, and all that does come back to you in the end. Zig Ziglar said, right, if you help enough people get what they want, you get everything you want. So yes, there's definitely benefits to it, but I never think about, like, is this post worth $1 or is this post worth $1,000 in terms of value people add. I just put stuff out because it's selfishly gives me rewards to see it being helpful to other people. I think all of us as human beings, we have, Tony Robbins talks about 6 basic human needs, that you have, certainty, uncertainty, contribution, love, significance, and one more. But you can gain your significance. Everybody has a need for some kind of significance. You can gain your significance through contribution, or you can gain your significance, by putting other people down, right? So the way I get my significance is through contribution to other people.
Excellent. And Emma, what drives you? What are your principles?
That's a great question. I feel like a lot of what drives me is creating a world that I want to live in and maybe didn't live in when I was earlier in my life. So, we're here in the middle of a pandemic and able to create jobs for people and work in a company that I would have loved to work in. So as a creative person in particular, the traditional workplaces are very difficult to really feel valued and to contribute what it is that you're wanting to do. So that's always a big part of what we're trying to create, as much as helping other businesses be able to succeed. It's also really helping to cultivate a space that people love working and can grow. And then I think just internally for me, I love figuring things out. Like, as much as it's really stressful to me when I don't know how something works or why something's going a certain way or how to turn things around, that I think drive for wanting to know how things work or how to resolve things is a big motivator for me. And then lastly, really wanting everything that I do to be meaningful. Like even when I was a kid, when we were given homework that was just kind of busy work, I just like couldn't get myself to do it. I just thought it was so stupid, and I didn't understand why they were being asked to do something that didn't actually have a bigger purpose in some way, whether, you know, it's reinforcing some idea or working towards a bigger project. And so I think that's just something that I even carry with me today in other forms of wanting to make sure that whatever I'm contributing or we're contributing to the conversation is bringing value in some way.
Excellent. Okay. And we have some more questions in the chat before we wrap up. We have about 10 minutes. And I just want to remind everyone, today we're going to focus about mindset and fundamentals. I know some people had questions about marketing, about expanding in a second country. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about branding and marketing. So please come back, and then I'll ask those questions on those days so we can focus on mindset. Sean had an interesting question that I wanted to pose to you guys. Is it wise to develop a transmutable skill in the areas of web development, SEO, business marketing, and the like, to help you expand in the e-commerce world, or should you just focus on Amazon? I'm curious what you guys think about that.
My advice is you, unless you're hiring, you know, or outsourcing, you can't eat the whole pie in one day. You gotta go in steps. And so if you're gonna focus on SEO, then focus on SEO. It's gonna be very difficult, I think, for you to learn a lot about SEO, implement it, and learn a lot about Amazon at the same time and implement that. You know, you can't develop these 5 or 4 different skill sets all at the same time. Now you can learn Amazon and hire somebody for SEO, or you can hire out. But my opinion is Amazon is the lowest hanging fruit from all of it. And so in my opinion, it's easier to get success on Amazon than it is with building a website, knowing about conversion optimization, building an audience, figuring out social media, figuring out SEO, figuring out influencers. Like there's so many more pieces to the pie, and Amazon to me is very formulaic in terms of this, you know, not that every product you launch can be a home run, but there's a lot of data on Amazon, and like there's a certain amount of things that it takes to be successful. You know, it's the right product, the right margin, listing, review. There's like 5 or 6 elements that if you master them, yeah, I think it's a lot easier to be successful. So my advice would be focus on that first, and then either hire or then learn the other skills. But the low-hanging fruit right now, in my opinion, is Amazon, especially because of COVID also.
If you're going to go for multiple businesses, I've got 3. Liran's got 2 or 3 yourself, maybe more, I don't know. I found the best way is head down, focus really hard on one of the businesses, get to cash flow, employ people, use existing cash flow, start with a small amount, start the next business if that's what you want to do, and repeat that same process until you get to that safety net. Because ultimately, you don't want to let business one go by taking the eye off the ball. And you can't do all the jobs yourself, like Liran said. So get to cash flow, hire the people, then take some of that cash flow, spin it into the next business, and repeat that same process until you reach your level. I can't get on beyond 3 now. I would really kind of struggle. I'm at my maximum, if that makes sense. I'm not encouraging you to do multiple businesses, but if you were to do it, that is more of a safer steps to do so.
I think sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. Well, I was just going to say, when you're, you know, one of the things that gets in the way a lot of times of people actually being able to achieve the goals that they want is because you get really motivated and pumped up, and you sit down and you write down this list of like 50 things that you want to do. And you're like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to do my gratitude journal. And, you know, like all of these things. And then maybe you have that ability to maintain that for a few days, but eventually you're going to start to let some of those go by the wayside. And so rather than it's great to be excited by many different things and to want to explore many different things. But if you try to send yourself in too many different directions, then you're not going to be able to make meaningful progress in any of them.
Excellent. All right, guys, we're almost out of time. Before we let you go, I'd like to just, for people that want to connect with you guys more, what is the best way to connect? Let's start with Emma.
My website, marketingbyemma.com. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. Those are the main sorts of places that I exist online. I'm not too active on any of the other places, but please reach out. Happy to answer questions, engage on these topics. If you have book recommendations or want book recommendations, happy to chat about that as well.
Yeah, excellent. And also, I believe that Emma is offering a free listing analysis for all 7-Figure Seller Summit attendees. So if you need some help with your copywriting, whether you're scaling or just starting up your first listing, definitely look out for Emma. All right. And Liran, how do people connect with you?
So my Amazon ads agency is incrementumdigital.com. And then I also have a Facebook group called E-commerce Mindset, and a podcast called E-commerce Mindset. You can sort of find a lot of these links on just on my Facebook profile, so you can connect with me there. And I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn also, but my best content's on Facebook.
Excellent.
Just for me, just sellersessions.com, or drop me an email to Danny@sellersessions. All the information is there across all the stuff that we do.
Okay, perfect. And we're getting a lot of great feedback. Sean says, thanks for clearing the path. Great advice. So thankful from learning from people with real heart. Thank you, Kara Brown. All right, great. And then also, I encourage everybody, if you haven't saw Emma's sessions or Liran's session or Danny's session, you can still have a chance to watch them today. They're still live for 24 hours. You can catch everything. If you miss something, you want to have lifetime access, we do have the all access pass available as an upgrade. This way you can unlock all 36 videos, and you get audios, you can download them. And then we also have a Facebook group as well. You can get your questions answered. I know some of the speakers are active as well. So feel free to upgrade for that. And other than that, tomorrow we're going to talk about marketing and branding. We have a full schedule tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. We have Cassandra Craven talking about social media, Chris Davey, very successful 7-figure seller, talking about using his brand as a product roadmap. Destiny with Sean talking about dominating Amazon advertising. We have speakers about crowdfunding. That's something not a lot of people are talking about. Vance Lee, his strategy raised $218,000 in 16 days to launch profitably. And we have Michelle Barnum-Smith talking about chatbots, ManyChat, how you can use keyword strategies to launch, and without making your inventory go out of stock, because we do have the new IPI limitations and Amazon is super backlogged when it comes to new shipments. Alan Iov, 7-figure seller, his brand Looming World of baby products, he's featured in offline stores like Bed Bath & Beyond. He's going to show you how he did that. We have speakers about brand protection, CJ Rosenbaum and Robert Siegel, how to protect your brand so you don't get suspended and to get hijackers off. And also Kirsten Ross, she'll be talking about also how to use crowdfunding to fund and scale your business. So excellent. Thank you everybody for joining today. I'm curious, if I were to ask the speakers today, your 80-20 rule, number one recommendation about mindset, what would that be? Emma, starting with you.
80-20 rule. Knowing when you just need to reset. So whether that's stepping outside for 5 minutes, or I don't know if this is really an 80-20 rule, but I'm just making up my own rules for what it is. For me, I set my brain every morning by taking my dog out and reading. And I know that days that I'm not able to do that, it is much harder for me to make the kind of progress that I'm looking to make, but also knowing when in the middle of the day, I need to step outside for 5 minutes. I need to take a big drink of water and just sort of understanding what's going on with yourself and where you are, and making sure that you're taking care of the inner things that's ultimately going to impact everything you're doing. Because if your head's not in the right place, then it's really hard to think clearly and do the things that you need to do.
Excellent. And Danny, what would your advice be?
Well, there's two things you can have. Well, you can't have both of these, but you can. What was the words? I'm getting really tired now. You can either have progress or you can have excuses, but you can't have both. So you got to choose. So it's not quite an 80-20 rule. That's a 50-50. You go one way or the other.
Yeah, that's great.
But sometimes you have to be a bit hard on yourself,
Yeah, perfect.
I would say two pieces of advice. We spoke about this in the session. One, I would say be where your feet are. So be present in everything you're doing. That means if you're out playing with your kid, don't worry about the crap that you have to do. Like, just be there. And if you're working on something in your business, just be there. And then the other one concept, we kind of opened this up with, was no 0 days. Just every day have the goal to do one thing, to move one thing forward. I'll say this, another sort of quote to remember is keep the most important thing the most important thing is. So keeping the most important thing is keeping the most important thing, right? So like, what do you need to do today? What do you need to do this week to move forward? And kind of focusing on that. It's just get up every single day, get back up. This is a entrepreneurship, like Tim said earlier, is a battle, and you gotta be willing to fight the battle and get back up.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right.
And if you struggle, stick a David Goggins video on in the morning. That'll stop you feeling sorry for yourself. You'll be in warrior mode. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to get that tough love. Some quick shout outs. Brownwind, thank you for your comments. It's great. Jody, thank you. Really great day. Tons of great info. Thank you all. Karina, great information. Just listening to your experiences keeps me motivated. That's why we're doing this. Thank you. And Kara, thanks. Y'all got to go. Thanks for staying. Danny, Emma, Ryan, have a good evening. Gary, have a good morning. Thank you. And for the All Access Pass members, you can get all of the videos within the All Access Pass members area. Andrew, I saw you had that question. If you have any questions, reach out to us by email, support@sevenfiguresellersummit.com. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Liran. Thank you, Danny. Also, thanks, Tim. And this has been awesome. Have a great day ahead, a great evening, and then we'll see you guys at the summit. All right. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Take
Gary.
care, guys.
Bye.